Hey everyone, good morning and welcome to Morning Tea with me, Tracy V. Allen, host of Morning Tea. Morning Tea is a show that hopes to motivate, inspire, and educate you to level up your life, your career, or your business. So this morning with me, before I move on, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you're catching us on the replay, put hashtag replay in the comments below. Today I have with me Boone or Tykeysha Boone. Right? She is the Nonprofit Success Strategist. And you guys have probably seen us together a lot because we have a program coming up together. But today Ty is here to tell us about her entrepreneurship journey and to chit chat about having a successful nonprofit organization, right? So Ty, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me on Morning Tea. Getting me up to do anything in the morning, that's like... So thank you very much for having me on Morning Tea. My name is Tykeysha Boone. I have about 20 years experience in nonprofit industry. I've actually been consulting with my own business for about 6 years now. Most of my background initially started out in clinical trials research. Don't ask me how. We can do that. I have a couple of publications in psychology and pain. Mm-hmm. That was that was like I remember working in pain in my early 20s. People were like, why are you working in pain? The whole psychology behind it was really interesting to me. And my bachelor's degree is in psychology, so I started working in pain research, pain management type research. So y'all, you can Google me and you can find a couple of research articles, peer-reviewed journals in the Journal of Pain, in psychology of pain. And so that little old girl did all that stuff right there. Yes, I did. That's what I did. Just kind of growing up, not really knowing what I wanted to do other than pleasing somebody else. That was kind of the thing. I was the first person in my family to go to college, and I only had two options. It was college or military, and I didn't want to do military. So my mom, bless her heart, is strict, and she was like, look, you're gonna go to school and this is what you're gonna do. And we didn't play with this, making bad grades. So I always make good grades, and we're gonna go to school and we're gonna be whatever it is that you want to be. She really didn't know anything about what kind of career to choose. Right. But hey, you're gonna go to school. Initially, I said I was going to be a biomedical engineer. I got in college and I took my first chemistry class, and I was like, "Nah, we're not going to do that. we're not going to do that. We're gonna go and we're going to do something like psychology." Mm-hmm. So I decided to major in psychology, and I minored in community health education. Mm-hmm. So that kind of brought me into this whole field of understanding the community, even getting into things like program planning and organizational development into that. And then at that time, just to kind of know what that was all about. Okay, so we'll move a little bit further, do a little pain research, and get into public health, because it kind of seemed to all go together, public health. And I did that. I ended up finishing school in that, all the while I was working and publishing and, administrating clinical trials and all this stuff. Got into grant writing as a result of that at the university. And then, I was still kind of like, okay, so what is all this about? I'm doing work that I, kind of like, but not really crazy about it. So it pays me. So let's go ahead and finish, doing this work. So I was doing that. One of my positions when I worked in pain was related to HIV and HIV related pain. So that kind of sent me over to working at a community-based organization that was focusing on HIV and treatment for HIV patients. And I did it at the same time that I worked in psychology. And then I started to learn about HIV, and I started to learn about community health and community-based organizations. And that sparked my interest in nonprofits, right? Right. Although at that time, I'm like, look, this is not what I'm going to do, because whoever's going to pay me more money, this is what I'm going to do, because nonprofits is not going to do that. So, okay, so who got the money? Let's see who got the money. I'm going to go work for them. So right. I'm staying at the university. I'm going to work on this side. We can lead those people over there where they at. So, work in the community with the relationship with the university, so I could kind of, leverage that. And then eventually got tired of the university, went around and to a couple of departments. And this was my turning point at the university, because I was looking for the money, like straight up. I'm like, look, whoever got the money. So I transferred. I was working at the university, and there was another department in the university that was hiring for a position And I spoke with the investigator over there, and they were like, "You're the perfect fit, and we're gonna give you like the raise. We're gonna be like $30,000 from what I was making already, right?" I was like,
That's a big jump.
I was like, I don't even care, like whatever. So I talked to my boss at the time. I was like, I got to go over there to that department because they're gonna give me this much money. And he was like, Ty, I know your personality, and I know and I know that other person that you're trying to go work with. I don't think y'all will work well together. And I'm like, for $30,000, I'll work well for $30,000 more than you're paying me now. I will work well with. I can work well with others. We're gonna be okay, right? And he told me, he was like, Ty, I'm just telling you. I know your personality. I know how you like to work because I always work with men, right? And that was, and I don't know if this is but that was the good thing because they were always very flexible. I was on my own time. As long as I got the job done, it was cool. We straight. So I was going to work with this lady. But look,
That's a big shift.
She got $30,000 more. So I'm like, we don't really care. We're trying to get this money, right? So I get over there. I promise you, I went to this job in August of that year, and I was turning in my resignation letter in December.
Wow.
Right. And it was like not anything really bad about her, but it was just like, I'm like, I don't like this thing. I don't like this kind of relationship environment. I don't like this. And it wasn't so much about me, but my coworkers, she was kind of harder on them. And I saw a lot of discrimination, when I was there. And not so much, there were people who were from other countries, and she would say things like, you need to send your kid back over to the other country so you can focus on your work, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I cannot work with this. So I ended up leaving there and going to work at a community-based organization, getting a huge pay cut, of course, right? So now I'm like, oh man, now I got like $0, Right. I just went from this much to like lower than I had before. So I'm like, oh, how's this gonna work out? So I started teaching online, pulling everything together, because at this time I'm just praying like, God, why I got all this stuff? Like, why have I done psychology? Why have I done community health education? Why have I done program evaluation? Why have I written grants? Why you got me all over the place like this? I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I started my PhD program. And I'm like, and then I was falling out of love with that. I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. I just kind of like, I don't know what I want to do. I was kind of like at that point, right? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing right now? So I go to work at the community-based organization because I got to eat, and I had a baby at the time, my first child. We got to, so we're going over here, and I'm working there. I started teaching online, and then I got, when I started teaching online, I was back in the game again, right? So I started teaching. I taught at 13 different schools at one time, so I was making multiple six figures, doing this thing, and I'm like, oh, this is it. We're back in the money again. Still wasn't really caught up into any kind of passion or anything. I'm just trying to get this money.
You're just doing the money.
How this goes, right? So, but then I got burned out, and then they started changing. Politics started changing up in the, in that thing. And then I started those contracts for teaching online. They started to becoming fewer and fewer. And then, I did not have it in my mind that, hey, this is going to be over. This is going to end, because I'm still just being very hopeful, like, hey, you can get this money. So we're going to try to, where's my, and at the same time, I'm losing footage, and I'm losing it. And so I ended up resigning from my job at the community-based organization to teach online full time. I was doing it from home. You can work from home and you make this kind of money. I ain't got to go in over there no more. So I'm doing that. And before I knew it, it was just kind of like a ton of bricks just fell on my head, because I was down to like 1 from 13 to 1, And during that time, I'm like, what? Didn't even realize it was happening until it was like at the bottom of the barrel type of thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm washing dishes and I hear the repo man outside in my car. I'm telling my husband, I'm like, I think somebody's outside. And he's like, I think they're coming. We're looking at each other like, I don't know. I moved to like what I thought was my dream home, over 4,000 square feet of home. We were doing this. I'm spending money. We got like 4 cars each. He was doing a lot of other work. It was like, okay, we're doing this. He ended up living life. Yeah, that was a life. He ended up getting hurt. He hurt his hip. He ended up having to have surgery. And the other work that he was doing, he couldn't do it anymore. Right. And so, and I'm over here like, I just done bought all these cars and stuff. I mean, it's funny now, but it was not funny then. I promise
Right,
you, it
right.
was not funny at all. So I spent the next probably 3 years crying. Really, I mean, if I think about it right now, it's kind of a blur, like those like those years. And it actually took some years for me to kind of pull myself together. So I started my business, and even my first year or two in business, for me being accustomed to making money faster,
Mm-hmm.
and not really having to get into the dirt of marketing and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, what in
Mm-hmm.
the world is this? I knew that, going back into the workforce wasn't for me because I was used to making money, and I was used to kind of talking that money. And I'm like, you offer me this money, I can't do that or whatever. And I was applying for jobs, and I was getting responses that were saying you're overqualified, or you're too, we can't,
Yep.
we cannot do this. And I got a ton of those. So after getting a ton of those, I said, you know what? I need to pull it together. I
Mm-hmm.
need to realize why I went down the path that I went down, and I need to bring that together to make some money. And that's kind of what brought me here. But now with the different focus, where initially it was like whatever I got to do to make the money. Now it's more about, hey, I'm here to be that piece of your purpose, to help you serve the purpose. That's kind of how I got into the whole nonprofit thing, because I was looking for my purpose. At the time I was chasing the money, but I was looking for my purpose.
Right.
Could never bring them together. And so that whole little downtime is what helped me to bring that together into
Mhm.
my business, realizing there were so many people out there when I worked in the community-based organizations that really needed to get it together with their nonprofits, with their businesses, just didn't know what to do,
Yeah.
just didn't know how to go about it, really had these burning desires and these burning purposes within them, but didn't know how to execute it, didn't know how to attract the funds. And I was like, you know what? That's what I've done for all these years. And I'm wondering what I'm supposed to be doing. I was doing that for people, doing that for these companies that I was working for. So let me pull that together. Even having to teach things when I taught online at colleges and universities, teaching research evaluation and teaching methodologies and teaching community development and planning. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
that's why I had to do all that. So I can come
Okay.
right here and do this. And that's kind of me. And this is where I am right now. I think I figured it out.
I know the journey to figuring it out it's a journey. My daughter's like, you graduated from college when you were what? You spent 10 years in college? I was like, listen, growing up, the only thing I wanted to do was be a doctor.
Hmm.
I got pregnant with my son, and when that was not a reality, I was like, for me, I decided it wasn't. I could not go on to medical school, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I kept changing my degrees and changing my
Hmm.
degrees. Like I think I went through like 4 or 5
Hmm.
degree programs, and then I got a degree, and it still wasn't what I wanted.
Hmm.
It was just a
Just
degree
because
because
of
I
the
needed
degree.
to
And I
get.
know you and I, we have we're so similar in a whole lot of things, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I was all the I did all of my work. I was down to my dissertation, right? That was the last thing that I had to do, right?
Mhm,
And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Kind
mhm,
of like, I don't know. I've devoted all my life to this, and I
mhm,
kind of bringing things together. Working that first connection with the community-based organization while I was at the university that sent me over to the aid service organization,
mhm.
and just kind of got me to thinking. And it always kind of stayed in the back of my head, even though I did a lot of stuff in between that time. It's like, okay, what is going on here? When I came home to teach online, and I got into a lot of the courses that I was teaching, public health, community health education, there were students in my classes that were trying to do nonprofit work, and they were just, I started this nonprofit and I don't know what to do. I didn't take, couldn't take any of them as clients, but it just kind of got me thinking, Ty, you know how to do this. You know how to do this work. And just kind of having that passion for those organizations that were struggling, and I always saw them struggling. I mean, just struggled for no reason a lot of times, and they couldn't come up to par. Coming from university, knowing that, hey, there's tons of money out there.
Mhm.
There's, I mean, we get $1 million every day, over there, really at the university. And then you look, and some of the stuff that they were doing weren't even as significant as the things that these community-based organizations were trying to do as far as bringing people forward and moving people forward. You know, a lot of that was research stuff, but then you had these small grants that were in like the community health departments that were, you know, for smoking cessation and for diabetes prevention and things like that, where people from the university were trying to go in and do these things, but really weren't part of the community. So the community was not really connecting with them. You really weren't seeing the kind of results that you should have been seeing. And the community-based organizations wanted to make this happen, but they didn't know how. They didn't know how to manage stuff, and they didn't know how to bring it together. So after coming home for a little while and kind of reflecting on those kind of things, I said, you know, let's help them. Let's go out here and help these people who want to do that. Because I don't want to finish my PhD in this, and then I don't have to do that. I don't want to do this. And for what I had in me already, that was more than enough to provide the service that I felt like I needed to provide to the community. And that's what brought me here. So definitely wasn't a paycheck, even though, you know, being in business, you know, these days you have to set those goals and you have to keep the paycheck in mind, because that's what drives still got to pay the bills. And even when I started over there, I had one baby. Now I got 3. So look, I got to charge for my stuff. So that's kind of where I am. But at the same time, being able to work within the community and not even having to be in the community to do it. That's the thing that I like most about consulting with nonprofits, is because I get to touch so many people by just touching like the one person. You just like, okay, I'm just working with the ED, but at the same time, the ED is doing all these miraculous things that I'm helping her to do. So I can't go out here to every community in every state and do all these programs myself, but being able to be in the lives of these people that are doing these big things, I always tell them my purpose is to help you to fulfill that piece of your purpose that you are so passionate about. Because these people they're very, very passionate about the work that they're doing. They have passion over everything.
Yes, you know? They feel like they've been called by God to do this work. So yes, I've heard that so many times. So yes, they are very passionate, but like you and I both know, sometimes that passion does not equate to a well-run program. It does not equate to dollars and cents.
And you have to put that passion into perspective, you know, like I was saying, when I started out working in all these little different places and trying to put the pieces together, and how does this fit into a model that I can use to run a business? You know, how does that fit? How does my background in psychology benefit what I'm doing? A lot.
Right.
Knowing what I know about psychology helps me to deal with my clients, right? It helps me to not check out on them sometimes, like, look, child, I'm done. Because I can get to understand their psyche, right? And know how this relationship works with them. Knowing that I've done work in community health education, I can help you with your community health programs, right? And it all comes together. Being able to do some work at the VA, I can understand the veterans population, right? And it all kind of comes together, even though it looked like a mess in the beginning, you know.
I'm just laughing because it's the same thing over here. And like a friend of mine goes, she says, how many jobs have you had? Like, oh yeah, I've done that. Oh yeah, I've done that.
and both of them at the same time. It's like, because people are, well, you're not that old. How did you, girl? I did I was hustling, like, you know, before I got like really working through Grace. You know, it's like, look, before that, I'm hustling. I remember working at the community-based organization, and a client came in and she was like, "Where'd you get this? Did you get this from your mama?" And I said, "What you mean?" She was like, "Cuz you got like 4 jobs. How you working over here? You doing that over there in the evening? You doing some TA in the afternoon? Yeah. What you doing? I saw you at the VA Friday. Yeah, yeah."
Yeah. But like you said, it sounds like you were just doing way too much, and it looked like a mess. From everybody looking on the outside in, and probably even from yourself looking on the inside out, you're like, what am I doing with my life?
A whole mess.
All of those things. All of those experiences that I had and all those experiences that you had, you need them to become a nonprofit consultant. You need all of those experiences to be an effective nonprofit consultant, because you're dealing with people from all different types of areas and backgrounds, wanting to do various different programs and services within their organization. So it was like God preparing you what you were truly meant to do.
And that was what you said right there. That's the thing that I wanted to bring forth. It's like sometimes it looks like a mess, but then you have to take a moment when you're ready, and you have to sit down and you write this down and you put it all together, and you bring that puzzle together. I remember walking around in the lab coat and the paint equipment hanging from me, and people are, what are you about to do? And just kind of just doing that, I'm like, okay, that's research administration, that's clinical trials, that's and just kind of getting into that. And you have nonprofit organizations that are into that. You have institutions that are into that. So I'm pretty sure people are out here that just have this that just looks like a bunch of foolishness. Like it's like, and people are probably telling you that too. You can't do everything. Why you doing everything? Why you all into this and that? At some point, it's gonna reach its peak, right? And you're gonna be able to pull it together to make it make sense. Because for me, I think that was the thing. And the money in the middle, that was kind of the process of getting there to show me that there can be money. So there can be money made doing this thing that I do now, just doing it in a different way. So if you can make, $300,000 over there working for other folk, you can make that over here in your business, offer the same kind of services to the people that you were doing this stuff for, and it's just kind of like for me, it was a moment of just pulling it together and kind of making it all make sense in my mind versus looking at it as a big disaster. because at some point when if you've gotten 3-4 degrees, you got 3 or 4 certifications, and you're looking at where you think you should be at a certain time, you're like, I just made a complete total mess. And that brings in depression. That brings in, that blur I was talking about for 3 years, because you're like, okay, well, dang, I got all this, I had all this, and then this happened because I chose to do this, or because I didn't want to do that anymore, or because something happened over here that was out of my control, and then this is where I am, and you feel like you've fallen, And I don't know if a lot of entrepreneurs probably get to that, feel like I'm falling, or I've fallen.
Most of them won't admit it
a bunch of times, and they're not going to tell you. They're going to tell you that. They ain't going to tell you what I just told you, right? They're not going to tell you about that part. They're going to tell you, I started my business, and now I make $20,000 a month, and now I'm doing this right here. But they're not going to tell you that they were washing dishes in the focus outside, and I'm like, somebody's on the other side of the house out there. They're not going to tell you about that part. That's the part that you have to know about, just in case it happens to you. It didn't have to happen to you, depending on your plan. And that's the other thing. I didn't really have a plan, coming in. I didn't have a plan. It's like, okay, I'm teaching online. I got 13 schools. I'm making a bunch of money. Ain't no fallback. Look, this is gonna be it. This, by next year I'm gonna make this and this and this. But no, no plan of how this is gonna be carried out. So having to come into business, the first thing I had to do was create a plan. Like, hey, because now I know. I've seen how you can make a bunch of money and how you can go to zero. I've seen how.
That's what I was going to ask you. So after the 13 schools disappeared, and you said 3 years of your life was basically a blur.
I don't know what happened. I didn't even ask me about those years. I don't know.
Right. I remember you saying that, though, because we've spoken about it before, and depression is a real thing for entrepreneurs. And depression comes because of just what you said, lack of success, or you had a pinnacle of success and you did not take care of the money that you were making. And then not everything lasts forever. Things collapsed. And then now you're like, oh my God, I can be potentially homeless. My car is getting repossessed, XYZ. That can definitely put you into a state of depression. And if entrepreneurs are honest, a lot of them have been on the state.
A lot of them. We need a whole support group. And the thing is, when you get there, and you have to be able to get, and it's not easy. It's easy to say get past it, but it's not easy to do. Because for me, it was just a progression of events that kind of pushed me past it. At the same time, wishing that I did not relapse. I probably did at least once, mentally. Like,
once you've been into a depressive state, it's easy to relapse. But then, to me, it becomes also easier to identify, and what the strategies are to work through it. It may not be a day or two. It may take you 2 weeks to work through, getting from point A to point B. So that takes me to my next question. When you did come out of that blur, right? What were your next steps? What was your strategy to get back on your feet, start making money in your business? How did you progress to type enterprises?
Yeah, my next step was to be all in.
Okay.
And that was like, took some energy that I had to pull from somewhere. I think the first piece of that energy was I looked at my daughter and I'm like, I think I missed 3 years of her life, right? So I'm like, okay, I don't even know I don't even know who this person is, you know, for 3 years or whatever. That was kind of the thing that woke me up, because it was really those 3 years was kind of like a trance. Really, I have no idea. I really can't tell you what I was processing, what I was thinking. All I was like, my contracts are going down. That's the only thing I was looking
at. Your second son during that 3 years or after?
My second son, he was a baby, but he was here.
Okay.
But he was, I don't even know how he got here, but he was here. he was here. But it was my daughter, I think, because she was the oldest and she'd experienced much of this with me, you know, because she started to referring to the time where we had a lot of money as her celebrity life.
Oh, really?
She started to refer, oh, I wish we had, and she was, you know, she was like still like 10 or something like that. But she was like this. She was like, but I remember our celebrity life, and then I think that kind of woke me up because she was like, oh. And she started comparing, just kind of in her childish talk, you know. Well, in our celebrity life, we did this, and in our celebrity life, we went here and we went to this trip and we did that, and I'm like, oh, yeah. So we're really not. I was in denial, even seeing things in my face, but I'm like, okay, so this is kind of like, not that I want you to be a celebrity, but I want better, you know, for your experiences to be better. So that kind of, you know, and me not wanting to go back into the regular workforce because I've been at home so long, and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm not going to want to go back. Pulling together Boone Enterprises, that first year or two was very, very, very slow, you know, because I'm like, okay, I got to find my niche. I got to find my audience. I don't know what to do. I'm still hustling. You give me $1, I'll work for 30 hours for you, you know, that kind of thing. Until, you know, eventually I just kind of came into getting some more education about what I needed to do as a consultant, because I got serious and I wanted to be all in, and I needed to get back to that. Not so much of the celebrity life, because that is no longer important to me, you know. Right now, what is important to me is making sure my daughter gets to college good. You know, I have 2 other kids, making sure they have a life, making sure I live to enjoy some of this as well. It's not all about them, you know, but having to go through those things where you lost some things, you understand what's important and what's necessary. So handling the necessary things first, you know. That was my goal. So kind of creating those goals, the same goals that I tell my nonprofits to do, those funding goals that you want to have, and working toward them being all in and not being taken by the hustle. Because that first, you know, year or two, like I said, taken by the hustle gets you tired. It makes you want to quit. You know, working for somebody for 30 hours for $1 just because you want you tasted that money and you want to get to money, and you're figuring out, okay. Even when I taught at 13 schools, that was ridiculous, right? That was that was really ridiculous. You teaching 13 schools at the dang on time. That was greedy, and that was ridiculous, and that was money that, you know, who need? I'm only one person. I don't need 3 cars by myself. You know, really, you know, I just really don't. I just, you know, that's the kind of thing that I put into perspective. Moving forward in my business, you know, what's priority? What should go first? Yeah, we got to pay the bills. Yeah, I want to be happy. I want to take some trips. I want to do whatever it is that I need to do, but I don't have to kill myself in the process trying to get the money. And so being in a more relaxed state about it, I think is what is starting to attract the kind of clients that I want to serve, putting me kind of back.
You're not putting off that desperate aura.
Right. And that's what it was. That whole trying to climb back up is desperation. It's like when you're losing your grip and you're trying to get back up. It's like, oh, you know, I'm desperate to get back up. So whatever y'all got, I'm here for it, you know. But pulling that together into a model that makes sense, even with an audience full of nonprofit people, and that's a harder audience, you know, in my opinion. People with nonprofit businesses, because
the amount of people that are trying to get into the industry, you wouldn't think that.
Yeah, and this is what I want to tell people. Other people, there's a lot of y'all popping up, a lot of nonprofit consultants popping up. Tracy, we see all of them, right? The industry, because you have a lot of especially new grassroots type organizations who are also in that whole desperate stage that I was in. And I think this is what makes me who I am in the industry, because I've been into all these different phases, right? So I know what desperation looks like. I
Mhm.
know when you're just trying to crawl up there to get this dollar, at the same time, not wanting to invest in your own growth. So what I
Mhm.
had to do coming into Boone Enterprises, after that first year, after being desperate, knowing that this does not work, is to say, you know what, if I got an extra $20, if I got to pay $20 um, to get my, I tell everybody, I started my business with $7. I had gotten like just that was my website hosting, $7, right?
Mhm.
And that's how I got started. The first client I had, after she paid me, I got my LLC
Okay.
from that first payment, right?
Mhm.
Because I got to be legit, right? So the very
Bootstrapped it. Yeah.
that's how I got started. But
Mhm.
then having to continue to invest in the education myself, learning more about nonprofits. Even I got my went in school for this. I was working in this. Trends
Mhm.
still change. There's
Yeah.
still things that change. So even if I had to pay for $100 class here and a $50 class there, that's what I would do.
Mhm.
You know, even with the hustle money I was making. Okay, y'all, I hustled y'all. Y'all gave me for $400. Let me put $100 over here so I can take this class, so I
Yes.
can do this, or I can continue my education on that. And a lot of new consultants are not doing that,
Right.
and so they
They're
get
not
lost.
investing in education, and they're
Hmm.
not investing in professional development.
Hmm.
And I have a budget set aside every year for
Hmm.
education and professional development because, like you
Hmm.
said, in the nonprofit industry, things change so quickly. Just
Hmm.
2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? The easy was $400, and the
Now it's 275, like
right.
overnight,
So
right?
even stuff like that, people don't keep up on because I still
Hmm.
hear nonprofit consultants quoting wrong figures
Hmm.
when it even comes to the application.
Hmm.
What the process is just putting out blanket stuff that don't apply from state to state. So yeah, you're
And
right.
it's very important. And I think, and again, this journey, I think, is what made me be that kind of person, because I'm
Right.
like, okay, I did all these things, and you have all these different little pieces of the puzzle, so that you have to figure stuff out. So it made me a good researcher,
Yes.
and you have to pull it together, and you have to know that in the university, we had to do continuing education.
Hmm.
That was a part of the work. I had to
Right.
participate in grant writing classes. That was a part of my job to
Hmm.
do. So coming over here as a profession that I'm trying to do for myself,
Hmm.
I know I got to continue in the education. I can't be out here talking about I'm a nonprofit consultant and I don't know how much it costs to apply for your nonprofit status. And I have to wait for somebody else to tell me. I have to go figure this out. I should know better than anybody else where to go if I'm going to position myself as the guru. And I'm preaching to y'all right quick, right? Don't Okay, Trace. If I'm going to position myself as the guru or the expert, it is my job to be on top of the trends. My job. So whatever this is, I'm back into clinical trials research. So what did I do? I went out and I joined the Clinical Trials Research Association,
Hmm.
right? Because I need to stay in the know.
Hmm.
Because things that happened in 2006 is not the same thing that's going on right now in
Hmm.
clinical trials research. So I need to make sure that I stay on top of my education regarding that. I
Yeah.
know what I know, but there's always new stuff. We
Right.
didn't have COVID-19 in 2006.
Hmm.
We didn't have Gardasil in 2004.
Hmm.
But I have to know that if I'm going to go out here telling people that I'm the expert, and those kind of things, I think is what sets you apart when you're looking for success in your consultancy. I think that being on top of your game as far as the trends are concerned is what puts you there, and what brings you the audience that you need. And your audience can tell it, and you will track certain people based on where you are in the game. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
as soon as I started talking about things like evaluation and programming and those things, a whole different audience came my way.
Hmm.
The audience that understands what that is, an audience that wants to invest in what that does,
Hmm.
versus, hey, I got a corporate sponsorship book for $7. And then I mean, nothing wrong with that because I sold that, right? But
Right.
nothing wrong with that. And there are people who are at that level who are going to be all into that. But what happens after you get this corporate sponsorship book for $7?
Right.
How do you continue your education from just looking at my list that I've created? You've
Hmm.
not invested anything other than $7. where do you grow from there? Not go from there. Where do you grow from
Right.
there?
Mm-hmm.
From that $7 investment that you made, are you able to look at these sponsors and form a relationship with them to understand more about how they work?
Mm-hmm.
That's not the end of it. And if you're going to be position yourself for success as a consultant, especially in the nonprofit arena, you're going to have to keep up with the trends because they change every day.
Yep. Yep. I like that, and all everything you said is just on point, and that goes for in for-profit business consultants as well. You have to keep up on the trends; things change all the time. Just like I was talking to a friend on the phone today, and I was like, "Oh yeah," she said, "Oh, I formed a new entity." I said, "Oh, so you went in and paid that 120?" And she was like, "No, I only paid $100. I don't know if it's COVID, but it was $100 today. So the business license is no longer 120; it's now
Mhm.
$100. You know what I mean? So things change all the time, and if you're not keeping up with it, sometimes you can't keep up with everything, but you should have some general knowledge, or at least know where to find the knowledge.
At least know where to find it, or know some people. Because sometimes I'll just inbox Tracy. But
Yeah.
know people who know their stuff. You
Yes.
can't, and that's the other thing. You just don't want to take advice from anybody. You want to know
No.
people who you have vetted and who know their stuff. There's a lot of things I don't know, and I'll go in my inbox. There's a couple of us, and I'll be like, "Hey, y'all, what's this?"
Right.
Or we'll research it together and find out and say, "Okay, this
Mhm.
is what this is about. This is what." And it's always good to have a little clique of people that you can communicate with within your field that knows what they're doing. You don't never want to be out here alone because these streets ain't made for
I
people
know.
out here by themselves.
So
Mm-mm.
if you want to leave the audience with three tips to either elevate their personal life, their business, or their nonprofit.
Mhm. So I want to say, it comes together. You know, think about the path that you've been on, the journey that you've taken, the skills and the experiences that you've collected along the way. If you're thinking about getting into consultancy or you're thinking about expanding your consultant business, think about those things and think about, what you have to offer based on those things. And don't listen to people who COVID was a good example of, people saying, oh, write grants and write grants only. I
Mhm.
don't, I'm a grant writer because I know how to write grants. But
Mhm.
the fact that I know about clinical trials and I know about laboratory, I brought in clients during COVID that I helped set up CLIA laboratories for,
Mhm.
you know, and then and brought in money, that way. So you think about your experiences and think about why you are where you are now and how you can work that into something successful for business, especially if you have the right skill set for it and that's what you want to do. For me, it's just like I'm like, I cannot go back out there. I cannot. And the
Mhm.
more I made up my mind that I cannot go back, the more all in I became because I'm like, I got to meet these goals. I
Right.
remember having my last baby. He's 6 now, right? And I remember my husband like, this Similac is hilarious, right? This price of this Similac is off the chain, right? So we got to up something around here. So and that kind of stuff just made me more serious. It made me, get all in and say, hey, this is what this is going to be. Number two, for nonprofit organizations, that desperation thing, that's going to burn you out.
Yes.
You know, being desperate is going to burn you out. You're going to end up looking for funds in all the wrong places. You're going to get some hits here and there. You're going to get some stuff, but you're going to be so tired at the end of the day that you're not going to be able to implement your programs accordingly. You're
Mhm.
going to be so worn out that you're not going to be able to communicate effectively to your audience. And then you're going to be coming to me saying, Ty, we don't got no money. How do we find money?
Mhm.
Because you've been so desperate all the time. And then that desperation sends out the wrong message to the people that you're
Yes.
trying to connect with. And that's on, nonprofits and for profit. So I'm gonna wrap that up 2 and 3 together. That desperation sends out the wrong message and it brings you the wrong people. And I
Mhm.
remember praying like a few years ago and saying, God, please do not bring any more wrong people to my. I mean, really serious. I was like, if they're not for me, if they're not to stretch me in a place where I can level up, or if they're not people that I can work with peacefully, please
Mhm.
do not bring them to me.
Mhm.
Just don't bring them at all. Because at the time I knew that I was going to have a hard time myself deciding whether or not they were good because I was still in the moment where I need some money, right? So for me, being in that moment, it's like, okay, if you're offering me this money, I'm gonna take the money. So I had to get into this space in my head where I said, you know what, God, how about you help me with this? Because I need for people who are gonna be not good for me, who's not gonna stretch me into my next level of best, like up
Right.
level me, or who's going to put me in a position where I'm doing too much for too little, or who's going to compromise my well-being or my integrity.
Mhm.
Can you just not bring them to me and help me out right here? And that's kind
Right.
of what happened. I mean, really, I mean, I don't know if I got better at discerning it,
Mhm.
or he got better at just sitting, telling them, "Hey, don't go to Ty because she's full of mess. Don't talk to her." You know, that was a lot of it. I've had people come to me and say, "You know what? I was afraid to approach you because I knew you were going to be right up in my business and you were going to make me get this straight from the jump. So now I'm ready to work with you. So now I'm here. But then you come ready and come ready to pay, right?
Right.
So just kind of stop that whole desperation thing. Everybody is not your client. Everybody shouldn't be your client. I don't even want a whole bunch of clients.
Right.
You know, I want the right fit, the
A
right people for the right
few
service,
good ones. Yeah.
right? The good ones. And
Yeah.
everybody has some good in them, but everybody's just not good for you.
All
You
right.
know?
All right. Well, Ty, thank you for joining us this morning on Morning Tea. And if you want to get in contact with Ty, you can go to www.tyboone, that's Boone, consulting.com. Again, that's Ty, Tyboone, consulting.com. And seek Ty out, you will not regret it. Trust me and believe me. She is very capable of helping you to take your nonprofit to the next level. All right, Ty, thank you for joining us on Morning Tea.
Thank you
And
for having me.
until next time, I will see you guys. Bye.